is incredibly strong picks, but you can still go for some counters in that top side that can work out relatively well, or even opt in towards the lane swap, which you've seen a huge amount. So T1 kind of showing their hand a little bit early here.
Perhaps, but Kobe.
Repeat dive.
Yeah, straight back down there once again. A good snare lands from Gumayusi here as Zeus tanking the first turret shot. We're going to try and soften him up. Of course, it is dangerous to try and dive at Jax just in general, but 4 versus 1 here on the top side of the map as well. Looks like BLG might be able to get onto the board as Carrier wants to eat that grey health. He does so, and Shun not going to be able to reset. That is Carrier locking that one down. A 1-for-1 on the top side, and in the meantime, Zeus just barely surviving, and they clean up the dive bot. There are 4 members of BLG moving down here. There's the flash, twisted advance, gets very deep underneath the turret, but the seismic shove is fantastic. And this time, Shun doesn't need a twisted advance to survive the dive. In goes Ona once again, does a fair bit of damage tonight. But it looks like they will be able to get away from this one scot-free. Faker making the roam down. Let's see whether the Faker can get his cage into position. T1 wanting to keep them interested. There's a flash out from On. And it should mean that T1 aren't able to get too much back, as Shun taking a lot of damage, still down to 100 though, keeps himself alive, as now Faker throws out the LTL, just barely survived.
Grabbing that first little break point. Meanwhile, Shun again, ultimate towards Faker.
Yeah,
Faker who does have flash.
Yeah, should be able to get himself pretty far away. Seismic shove going to connect though, puts down the cage, but it doesn't really do anything. Dark Matter flies down and Faker is just dead. No flash, their own. And now, Ona looking to go aggressive, does dive towards Elk, but thinks against it, as now that is a better target for the Cullen. Gumayusi taking a fair bit, still able to outrange it. Nature's Grasp going to be used here by Shun. Let's see who we can get for it, as Gumayusi very far off to the side, and that is going to be Ona going down. Elk dives forward, picks up the kill for himself, but he's now out of the
flip push with Faker on bottom side, being able to get the rest of the wave, but here comes the collapse from BLG.
Yep, gold card going to connect, but Elk not really too worried about it. And here is all of the ultimates flying forward. It's a decent gobble this time around, but the Tom Kench will not survive. Faker finds his opportunity, but he just takes a Nami, and that is not going to do enough to get them into this fight. Still flashing, puts down the cage, but the Baleful Strike will not land. And now there is nowhere for him to go, back against the wall, and there is a
4 moving in.
Arizona getting himself out of there with the safeguard.
No flash on Faker.
And there's another Weaver's Wall to come through from Knight. Ona gets over at the Nature's Grass, should be able to get the Viger, although it does run out. Still, I think Ben with some free time should be able to take him down. Seismic shove not onto Faker, but he's still going to go down. And that is Knight that collects that kill. T1, they do get here to try and defend, but they're not going to be able to save their mid lane.
They cannot afford to defend their
Oh my god! The Devour has to be used here by Carrier, and he's going to get Gumayusi out, but to safety, I'm not entirely sure, because the teleport's coming in, and Ben just dives on top of him. There goes the bottom lane, shoved around his Carrier, and Knight is indeed here. Ona, he can safeguard his way through. And Faker with that smite play you were talking about, it is very scary. Dawning Shadow gives them vision, and Ona goes in, but it's not going to be in time. Kicks the tree over the wall, and then meets his demise. BLG, they'll... All right, well, Carrier's making his way back, and he's tanky, but not that tanky, and he goes the wrong direction, one could say. Faker's going to turn up alongside him, and just die. BLG are going to be the base broken for BLG. Feels like T1 just can't handle the pressure. There it is. Rocks being strewn on the ground in front of Gumayusi. Isaiah's trying to do some fancy footwork, but it is not going to be enough. As Ona, he gets underneath his inhibitor turret, but he's thrown around like a ragdoll once again. Elk will be taken down. So there's a lead.
Ultimate thinks they're just going to make your approach a death trap, so...
Well, there is a kick. That's just not going to work there for Ona. He's going to be put into a bubble and destroyed. Zayas moving on down the cage. Fantastic this time, but it's the resurrection, and Carrier, he mistimes the abyssal dive. Elk gets himself out of there with the relentless pursuit, and there goes Faker. BLG are too far ahead, and they know it has now been flashing with the counter-strike. That'll be the ace, and that will be match point for BLG.
BLG, the LPL first seed, showing why they were so feared coming into MSI. Taking us to a match point against T1.
Nexus will go down, and BLG, man, you were right, Kobe. You said it at the beginning. You saw that Lucian Nami.